Well, with us on the Big App Show today, a very successful young author who has now come out with the fourth in her Daughters series. And I have to admit, if I were a girl a third my age, I would probably go out and devour the other three predecessors to this one. The Daughters joined the party. Joanna Philbin is with us. Hi, Joanna.
Hi, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. And I really appreciate you taking the time today from sunny California. Let me tell you, great timing on the release of this book.
Thank you. I know we're heading into an election year, and that happens to be the setting for this new Daughters book.
So I'm not familiar, as I said in the opening there, with your previous three Daughters books. But of course, I understand the premise now immediately. We have a couple of friends, and these girls are essentially daughters of, well, they have fame by association, but in their own right are discovering themselves and learning what fame is about and being associated with a well-known family. But in this case, we have, I guess, a new addition. In fact, I did notice, I did look at the covers, there's 4 girls on this cover instead of 3.
Yes.
And so we have Emma, who was the daughter of a senator and who was going to make a presidential run. And that's, of course, why the timing is so impeccable. Was that thought out before? Did you think about this when you were writing it?
Not really. It was sort of a lucky accident, in a sense. I wanted to write a book about image and a girl who doesn't conform to the image of her family. And what do we think of when we think of image? We think of politicians, because image is so important to that world. And so it just happened to fit. And then I thought, hey, wait a minute, this is going to come out at the perfect time.
And so what I liked about it, and I read the book. It was obviously it's not my genre, but I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I mean, when I was a young guy, I used to read books like this. Don't tell anybody.
Really?
Okay. Oh yeah, no, I love my sister's books. I'd read them all. And maybe that's why I get along so well with women, actually. And I'm like, this actually is really good because it does give you an insight, and particularly younger readers who this is targeted at, into kind of the phony world behind everything that we see on television today. And I really like that. Particularly, you get like the image consultant comes in to say, okay, this is old Emma and this is new Emma, and this is how you're going to be. Now, being a daughter of a famous celebrity yourself, your father, of course, Regis Philbin, a great television personality, how much of this is autobiographical? I know you get the question a lot, without a doubt.
Well, I'd say that the feelings of the characters are based on feelings that I've had, but the actual experiences are different because I'm not the daughter of a senator, obviously, and I'm not the daughter of a supermodel or a pop star like the other characters. So I guess I was trying to convey in these books feelings that I've had of, having one foot in the world of high school and normal sort of teenage experiences, and then another foot in this world of going out with your parents to a red carpet event and being photographed with them and being associated with them and all of the pressures that come with that. And it was a very interesting way to grow up, and I really didn't know anyone else who was going through that. And now we're living in an age where children of celebrities are talked about all the time, photographed all the time. We know their names, we know about them, and I thought, well, now if I were to write about this, it might make a little more sense to the general public.
Did you do research on the children of political candidates? Because it's pretty in depth. I think you really know a lot of what's happening. Do you have friends who have gone through this?
I have a friend who is not the child of a candidate, but grew up with a parent who worked in political consulting, and he was a great source for me. I really just read books that are available to everyone. Game Change was a very important book for me to read, because that takes you through every moment of the last presidential campaign. And this was an area I really didn't know that much about. Again, I didn't know anyone growing up whose parent was in politics. I didn't grow up in Washington, but if you do your research, there is plenty out there, and And I also discovered a very interesting daughter, the daughter of Teddy Roosevelt, Alice Roosevelt, who was quite a rebel in her day, and there were always stories being printed about how crazy she was and smoking on the top of the White House.
Oh no, not in the Lincoln bedroom.
She had a pet snake. She was sort of a free spirit, and I actually was inspired by that character quite a bit.
Now, yourself, having grown up, as you said, one foot in high school, other foot on the red carpet with your parents, you followed an interesting path. I mean, you're a beautiful young woman. It would have almost been natural for you to say, "Oh, I mean, television is the world for me. I can, my dad can possibly introduce me to the right people." But you chose writing. That's an interesting path.
Yes, well, that's what I always wanted to do, and I think my dad would have loved for me to have gone into TV, and he still, I think, holds out hope that one day that's going to happen. And I certainly have been on camera with him along with my sister. He would bring us on the show all the time, and maybe that's why I haven't gone into TV, Adam. I don't know. Maybe it's too many appearances when I was 12 years old, getting my braces put on that have scarred me. But no, I enjoy going on a show, and I did. And but writing is something I always wanted to do. I worship Judy Blume. I read a great deal as a child, and this was what I always wanted from the time I was 7, 8 years old.
Now, I was reading on your website, your little bio section there, that you actually started with the Daughter series during the writer's strike in California.
I did. I moved out to LA to write for television. My sister is a very successful TV writer, and she encouraged me to come out here. And I was toiling away on a novel in New York, and living sort of like a hermit, and the pages were piling up, and she said, "Why don't you just come out here and actually get paid to write?"
Oh, what a concept.
Yeah, what a concept. So I did, and then shortly afterwards, the writer's strike happened, and I'd had this idea kicking around inside my head for years, and thought, well, no one can get any television work right now. Let's see if I can actually turn this into something, and I did.
And how is that done? I have no idea on the sales figures. I mean, this is, I presume if this is the fourth, these are very successful.
Yes, I believe they are. I honestly don't really know the sales figures off the top of my head. I find that it's something that sort of the more you know, the less it sort of helps you.
Yeah.
Because you're always trying to work on the next thing, and if you're too worried about how the last book did, but it can kind of affect you. But I was luckily already signed to an agent for television writing, and there was a books department within my agency, and I had to sort of prove myself to the books, to the literary agent, and write a number of pages before she thought that it was ready to be sent out. So it was a long process, but television writing actually helped me quite a bit in the structure of this book. And I would say to anyone who's trying to write a novel, taking a class in screenwriting is actually a great idea, because screenwriting is so much about structure and plot and knowing the whole story before you write the first word. And all of that has become very important for me.
Now, like you, I've always been a big fan of Judy Blume, and you would write her letters and say, "Oh, these books, I identify with them." You must be inundated with the same from your readers.
Well, I do get letters from my readers, and I'd say it's an overwhelming thing for me to read these letters, because I remember being a reader and writing my favorite authors, and just to tell you, Judy Blume always wrote me back.
Nice.
And Judy Blume always did, and so I try to follow her example, and I write them back, and I actually have a dialogue with some of them, and then they also write on my Facebook page, and I can respond to readers there. So when you're writing for this young adult audience and this young teen audience, readers are very passionate if they like your books. And they also can tell you right up front if they don't like your books.
Right.
But when they like your books, they are very passionate. They want to tell you exactly the parts that they loved and what character was their favorite and how they relate to a certain character. And I love hearing that. It's like I said, it's overwhelming.
Now, having grown up in a celebrity world, what is your view on celebrity culture today? You touched on it earlier about how now kids of celebrities are talked about all the time. We know what they look like, what they're doing, what they're not doing, what they should be doing. Has this changed? Have you seen a significant change? Good, bad, indifferent?
I think certainly things are a lot different now than, first of all, when I was a teenager. I mean, we have TMZ and tabloids, and we didn't have those things. We didn't have the internet when I was in high school, believe it or not.
No, I believe it. I remember.
So it is completely different, and I think there's a level of scrutiny now that that children of famous people receive, whether they whether they want it or not. And I think most of the time they don't want it. They're just trying to be ordinary kids, I think, most of the time. And I think that's got to be very, very, very hard. And my heart goes out to them. So I think things are a lot different now. And I didn't, in these books, I really wanted to focus more on, I think, the elements of these characters' lives that are really like every other teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I wanted these books to be relatable, and I wanted girls all over the country to relate to them and to what they're going through. And so it's not so much about, oh my gosh, I'm being trailed by a paparazzo. How do I get that horrible photo of me off TMZ? These books are a little bit more universal, I think, than
right.
Yeah.
But rather sad news. I mean, I understand this is the last one in the series. It's ending.
I know this is the last one. And when I originally thought of the idea, it was really 3 books. And this 4th book was sort of a wonderful surprise. And my publisher wanted to do a 4th book. And so this is the end. I'm working on a new book, though, which comes out May of 2013. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be just in time for summer. It's going to be a great summer book. It's called The Rules of Summer. And it's slightly older characters. They're 17, and it's 2 girls sharing a house in East Hampton for the summer and all the various adventures they get into.
Finally some sex in your books, Joanna. I can't wait. This is good.
So I'm on to the next thing already.
But is that a transition for you? Because is that skewing a little older than what you've been doing?
Yes, it's going to skew a little bit older. I wanted to write first. Well, the wonderful thing about writing about kids growing up in New York is that they are very independent at any age. Mm-hmm. They don't have to know how to drive, and so for this, I needed the girls to be able to drive, and that was right. Sort of the bare minimum. So they're 17, and I wanted to write about love, and these books the daughter's books deal with that to a certain extent, but I wanted to write about what happens after that first kiss, and so.
Okay, well, I look forward to that. I'll read it. So make sure in 2013 you come back on the show. Before we wind up, you've got to tell me this about the Twitterhood of the Pajants, because this I saw this on your blog. I'm like, what? Really? What is this? I'm going to put a picture up, by the way, of you wearing them.
Try and explain this. The Twitter hood of the butt lifting pajams.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, the butt lifting. Yeah.
Can't forget the butt lifting. It's something that started last year. One of a young adult author named Julia DeVillers, who's wonderful, got a pair of pajama jeans as a gag gift for Christmas, and she wore them out to a very sort of official state function. Her husband's a diplomat, and took pictures of herself wearing them and then signed them and sent them to another young adult author that she knew. And then that young adult author wore them out, signed them, and passed them on. And so it became sort of like a funny sort of joke at first, and then it became a really serious thing where authors Tyra Banks wore them, Lauren Myracle, Sarah Milniowski, Lauren Oliver, people all over the country were passing these pants back and forth, and I was lucky enough to wear them and sign them, and now they're going to be auctioned off. I'm not sure when, but probably very soon, to benefit literacy, and they're quite.
Does the butt lifting thing actually work though? Is that real? I mean, can we patent this and
I have to admit, there was no butt lifting at all. But they actually did a huge event in Manhattan last month, and Anne Brashears, who wrote Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, actually came.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Signed them, and so it all came full circle back to Anne. But it was a wonderful example of how supportive the young adult author world is, and I got a real taste of that when I was in New York for the fall. It was great to meet so many writers there.
Very nice. And finally, I just have to ask, I know that your dad, Regis, he's no longer doing the morning show. I don't know if we can say he's retired or not, but I didn't think he would be. How's he doing? Is he just moping around the house, growling, or?
Oh, no, he's not. He was out here for Christmas with my mom, and they're doing great. I think he's just taking some time to relax, and at this point, I think the man has earned that time.
I agree.
For a little to sleep in, So he's actually doing very well, and I think we're going to be seeing more of him very soon. But I think right now he's just sort of enjoying his time.
Good, good. Joanna Philbin, the author of The Daughters Join the Party. If you want this, all you have to do is tap on the blue button. It'll take you right into the Amazon store. You can pick it up from there. Joanna, thank you so much for taking the time. Lovely speaking with you. And good luck with this. And I really look forward to, what was it? The
Rules of Summer.
The Rules of Summer, right. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
You'll be getting a copy. I promise. So thank you.
And please come back on the show if you can.
I would love to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.